held a ceremony of remembrance and recognition.
Madeline Chafee, a World War II veteran who was on base during the attacks, was presented with a certificate of recognition. The presentation was made by a group of local veterans and members of the organization. Sandra Young was asked to keep the secret and get Chafee to the event.
Called me 2 days before this and wanted to cancel, and I had to do some heavy talking and thinking on the fly to convince her that she needed to be here. We needed to do this tonight.
We requested the certificate from National Commander. He was more than pleased because today he's in Pearl Harbor. He's on the USS Arizona laying a reef. So he was tickled pink to send us that certificate.
Just 1 day before the attacks, a 21-year-old female Navy parachute rigger by the name of Madeline Chafee arrived in Pearl Harbor for the start of her tour.
They sent me with 15 other girls in charge of these girls to see if we could cope with overseas activities. We had no idea that this was going to be a bombing. The next morning, we were having breakfast, and for the rest of it.
That next morning around 8 a.m., the Japanese unleashed the attacks following the strategies of the other Axis powers by attacking first and declaring war later. As the attacks unfurled, Chafee and her female colleagues didn't think it was real.
Total devastation. We didn't even believe it. We thought it was an exercise, as a matter of fact, practice. And when we saw all the devastation, it's something that you can't imagine unless you're there.
Chafee is believed to be the oldest Pearl Harbor survivor living in Vermont.
It changes you. The service changes you. They'll tell you that.
Before her life changed by entering the service, she was a high school teacher, coach, and a member of the Civil Air Patrol.
I taught the sciences. And I coached the basketball.
To this day, Chafee is still a member of the Civil Air Patrol.
One day at a time. That's my theory.
Reporting for News 7, I'm Dan Fenton in Linden.
Officials from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, many voters filed with anticipation. Voters even waited outside before the doors opened to cast their vote. Residents had some strong opinions when it came to deciding who they were going to vote for.
I have been appalled at the presidential debate because it's been the worst that I've ever seen. The civility is lacking to the point where it's almost childish. And I've never seen it like this, and I've lived through a lot of different presidents, and I've just never seen anything like this.
We'll have more results tomorrow.
Well, it may not have been a real fire, but the scene in St. Johnsbury looked very realistic.
Last night, the St. Johnsbury Fire Department conducted a disaster drill. The drill took place at the St. Johnsbury Health and Rehabilitation Center as firefighters cleared one of the wings of the building. The scene was complete with smoke, test dummies, and evacuation alarms, and the full array of firefighting gear. 2 fire trucks were brought to the drill, and around a dozen firefighters participated. St. Johnsbury Fire Department Captain Kevin Montnamy discussed how the drill prepares firefighters for an actual disaster.
Keep your composure during a disaster like this is the training that we do every day. Helps us prepare mentally and physically to have to do what we have to do to accomplish the task.
Including future flood planning. Currently, Sheffield is without a flood plan and is not covered by the National Flood Insurance Program. The NFIP provides federal aid to individuals who are affected by floods that live in a floodplain. In order to be in accordance with program requirements, the town must outline the floodplains in Sheffield.
Federal program that if communities enact an ordinance outlining the responsibilities of people that may live in a floodplain or want to live in a floodplain, the program's designed to map these areas so people know where they are and provide insurance to them or protect them if they're in a flood.
Passing out over 90 holiday boxes, and the boxes contain everything from turkey to vegetables. Volunteers have been busy taking donations and packing the boxes for pickup. But the food shelf doesn't just bring joy to those in need. Volunteers can reap the benefits as well.
It was one of my earliest Thanksgivings, and they have to call me to confirm that, they got their letter. And she was almost crying on the phone. She thanked me. She says, I don't know what I would do without you, ladies and gentlemen of the food shelf. We wouldn't have had a Thanksgiving.
The wide public webinar meeting to discuss Phase 2 of their on-road bicycle plan last night.
One of the locations the public could give their input was at the NVDA in St. Johnsbury. Phase 2 of the plan addresses conducting safety analysis, evaluation, and analyzing high-use corridors. The NVDA hopes for a positive outcome from the project.
Well, the state is looking to use this plan to essentially help them in guiding where their maintenance activities focused on cyclists should be. So I guess what I would hope is that that's an equitable process for our region, and that it makes for safer roads for cyclists.
Resources Network, also known as LEARN, sought approval from the board for the proposed school's location in the commercial district on Pleasant Street. This way, they would be able to meet the requirements of the zoning bylaws, and chairman of the board, John Prue, gave insights as to what will come next now that the permit has been approved.
But once an application is approved, I believe they have 2 years to build or do whatever it is after. So if you came in to get a permit to build a house and your permit was approved, you have 2 years to build that house. If you haven't built that house within 2 years, you would have to come back in for an extension or apply for a whole new permit.
Hilltoppers won their first ever Division I home playoff game. The game was scoreless for most of the first half until the Hilltoppers took the lead on a goal from senior forward Riley Harvey. Early into the second half, junior midfielder Grace Cook also scored a goal of her own. That was all the girls needed, going away with a 2-0 victory.
It's incredible. This group of girls, I got 6 seniors on the team that have been with me for 4 years, and I actually coached some of them since they were in 5th grade, and to see them play with heart and get this win, they did a great job in the regular season, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't win that first playoff game, so I'm really proud of them, really happy for them today.
NECA welcomed new board members and was given a presentation by David Tucker of Brown, Buckley & Tucker. Brown, Buckley & Tucker is a consulting company that offers nonprofit organizations development services. Tucker was able to speak at the meeting by NECA. He presented on the characteristics of an effective board.
Tonight is, I think that's an important role for the board, is to recruit and try to encourage new people to join the board. So it's through those connections you want to let people know about the organization, know about the work of the organization, and try to encourage people to give back to the community and contribute some of their time and expertise to an organization whose mission they can support.